Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. It is going to be a great Tuesday, and that's in part because NBA season is back, which means a special contributor is back as well. Let's take a look at the recap screen and see how we contributed to your wallet yesterday. Listen, me losing the Baker Mayfield over 1.5 touchdown passes, that's what happens when you're on a cold streak. I can't believe that didn't come in. Mike McClure with the worst beat of the year, maybe, or at least top 10 there with the over in the first quarter, cashing at the last second, literally. But the SportsLine picks go 3 for 4. Sniper has a tough day. Larry Hartstein goes 1 for 2. Great call on Nick Chubb, but we go 5 and 6 overall. So we lost you a few bucks here, and we got to bounce back. I see Japan in the chat. Brad Morris, we're already putting in some NBA plays. And ladies and gentlemen, it's officially NBA season. Let's bring in the stars of the show because, ladies and gentlemen, we got Chip Patterson on a Tuesday. Maybe we got some football. I don't know what's going on.
Mikey B is back. Mikey B is back.
We got Mikey B. Chip, you said it all. Mikey B, welcome back to the show. We're going to see you a lot. We saw you yesterday on the Future Show. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm great. What a great introduction there. I got my hype agents here, both of them on the show. I appreciate Ben coordinating, getting my agents on the show here. So I cannot wait for the basketball.
Well, everybody's very excited to see you back. We see a lot of Mikey B and exclamation points in the chat. Chip Patterson, you went 4-0 last time you were on the show.
Oh, did I? That's weird.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 plays on Friday. They all came through. Some pretty easy covers as well. How you feeling today?
Oh, good. It's good to be back in the lab. It's good to be back with y'all on a Tuesday. We've got more Cayusa ready to go. And so we did not cash our Tuesday play, Sia. As you, I thank you for coming in on Wednesday and documenting how ridiculous the personal foul penalty was that set up a field goal as time expired at the end of first half. This is perhaps even more disgusting. I hope everyone is taking care of all of their, seasonal medications because this is going to be a little toxic what we're getting into because it is a phenomenal game in Conference USA.
Yeah, we've got a couple of games tonight, one of which is on CBS Sports Network. And Chip, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the game where you have a pick from. It's Western Kentucky. Who are they playing today?
Louisiana Tech. So we have a pick in that game. Bucket, speaking of picks, before we get into, we're actually going to start with Mikey B. So I missed I gave out a play yesterday, and it was heavily juiced, minus 148. And I honestly thought it was as close to a lock as possible. It was Baker Mayfield over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He was horrific. Granted, a lot of that was the Detroit Lions defensive line, but he was really, really bad. I missed that bet. And then on the Twitter, you pipe in about an hour before this Detroit Defend the Den game. That's your new team. And you say, very matter-of-factly, Amon-Ra St. Brown first touchdown, minus 120. Or he's not first touchdown, anytime touchdown, minus 120. He scores within 2 minutes of the game. I'm very frustrated because you hit that so easily, and I lose my bet that I thought was kind of a sure thing. Go ahead and gloat.
I'm not even going to gloat. It just shows how difficult the betting space can be sometime where you put in all the time and dedication research, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way, Sia. Sometimes you flip a coin to cash a bet. Sometimes you just pick a random guy that you learned about a week ago to play a bet. I will say my favorite part about this entire thing was a guy on Twitter DM'd me and he goes, Buckets, I'm from Detroit. I'm a longtime Lions fan. I'm going to bet. What's your Venmo? And I gave it to him. He gave me $100 and he goes, play this on whatever bet you think is best. And so I placed one of my biggest bets ever because I'm a small unit bettor on that Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown, Sia. And it just felt so nice. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I didn't even realize the context here. Because I was wondering why you put so much money on that bet.
Because that's how.
Now I know. That is really incredible. Incredible stuff. All right, let's get to some picks. Again, we went 5 and 6 the day before, and that's thanks in part to Chip Patterson, in large part to Chip Patterson. We had a nice winning day. So let's see if we can bounce back with a winning day today. And Mikey B, no pressure. It's interesting. There's only 2 games to choose from, and you happen to have 2 picks here. So I know some people tread somewhat carefully at the beginning part of the season. Do you see an edge at the beginning of the season, or is it kind of the same throughout for you? Before you give out your picks, I'm just curious in terms of your theory there.
Sure. I kind of tend to avoid spreads, especially on just because anything can happen in the first game of the season. I like player props. I guess it's from my fantasy background. I like knowing the depth charts, and I think the advantage is early in the season is in the depth, knowing the depth charts, knowing the new rotations and injuries. So Sia, that's why I have 2 player props. Now, we have 2 games, so we have to have one from each. So we have something to root for the entire evening. So first, we're going to do Alfred Sengun over 5.5 assists. It's got some juice at -144. He is one of the best passing big men in the league. He's averaged 4.9 assists last season for the Rockets. They're going to need him to be a playmaker even more now with Fred VanVleet out for the season with a torn ACL. The Rockets said they're going to go big tonight. They are starting Steven Adams at center, Sengun at power forward, and Ahmed Thompson at point guard. So I think they're going to run a lot of their offense through Sengun, and he goes over this 5.5 assists. And then we're going to go to the Lakers-Warriors game. We're going to do Rui Hachimura over 12.5 points. I gave you one with a lot of juice there with Sengun. So this one is +102. We got no LeBron. He's out with that sciatic injury to begin the season. That could mean a lot of scoring for Luka Doncic and Austin. But don't forget about Hachimura. He averaged 13.1 points per game last season. He shot 41.3% from behind the arc in both of his full seasons with the Lakers. Here are the best backup forwards on the Lakers right now: Jake LaRavia, Jared Vanderbilt, and Dalton Knecht. Those are not inspiring options. I think he blows past 30 minutes in this game. He gets a lot of open looks from Luka and goes over 12.5 points. And that's how we're going to start the NBA season.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, listen, Mikey B, we stayed up last night with a 7 o'clock and a 10 o'clock game. We may as well stay up tonight and run it back with a 7:30 game. That Lakers game, is it at 10 or 10:30?
10.
It's at
I believe
10.
It's 10, yeah.
So, okay, we're going to bed before 1 o'clock in the morning. And maybe we cash this bet before the game ends and we decide to crash a little bit early. We already have a question. I do want to get to an NBA question, and we'll get to more questions later in the show. Our friend Chris Diorio says Horford under 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Any thoughts there, Mikey B?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'd like to see how his role develops a little bit here with his new team, the Warriors. No longer Celtic legend Al Horford. I think it's a great pickup for the Warriors. They got a lot of veterans, him, Draymond, Jimmy, Steph. I'd prefer to wait and see how his role plays out before I'm playing any Horford props, but I don't mind that under.
And before we get to Chip's Conference USA Tuesday night football pick, let me ask you something. I think most of the people in this chat realize we did an NBA futures show yesterday with you, Zach Simony, and Prop Stars. With that said, was there, of all the picks we gave out or that you gave out, was there one that stands out in your mind that for somebody who missed the show or is going to watch it later, you might say to them, oh, this was kind of my favorite that I gave out among the many?
Yeah, and this is not because I like to make the joke, but it's the Bulls over 32.5 wins. Their goal is to make the play-in tournament every season. They've won at least 39 games in each of the last 3 seasons. They are not a tanking team. So even if this one might look a little sketchy as you're in March, as other teams start to tank, the Bulls are not going to. They're going to try and win games. They want to try and sell out the arena. So I think they're going to go over 32.5 wins.
All right. Speaking of sketchy, let's get to Conference USA. Hey! Chip Patterson. We've got Louisiana Tech. We've got Western Kentucky. We've got this game on CBS Sports Network tonight. I'd love to hear how you're breaking this one down. I know on our CBS Sports Network show yesterday at 12 o'clock, we had Tom Casale and Emery Hunt give their thoughts for all the CBS Sports Network games. There's one Tuesday, one Wednesday, and one Friday. But talk to me, Chip. How are you playing this Louisiana Tech game?
Well, first of all, just to set the stage and provide a little context, because there's 2 reasons why this game is really fun, and then there's my best bet, which is a little bit disgusting. So let's go fun before we go to the disgusting part. These are, according to my own personal in-house set of ratings, 2 of the 3 best teams in Conference USA, Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Some people might have them as the top 2. And number 2, they both enter this game angry, because while they are, in terms of quality, at the top of the league, they both are coming into this game off of stunning upset losses. Western Kentucky last week out on a Tuesday just kind of got kicked around by FIU. Very surprising. Then Louisiana Tech 2 weeks ago, they lost to Kennesaw State. Now, Kennesaw State's a little bit better, maybe a little less surprising, but the important development here is that starting quarterback Blake Baker left that game against Kennesaw State with an undisclosed injury. He has been considered day-to-day. And so, as I've dug into the injury situation, the response that I've gotten is that It might not just be 2 quarterbacks. They could end up even going to 3 different quarterbacks for this Louisiana Tech team, which, if you've been following Louisiana Tech throughout the year, is not a good offensive team. And in terms of the betting side, Louisiana Tech has just been a dead under team. Western Kentucky as well. We think Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, high-flying offense, Maverick McKeever. It's going to be awesome. But they also, in terms of under margin per game, have been outside of the top 100s. They have been consistently coming below expectations. And so in general, you would think, okay, let's just take the full game under. But no. With so much unpredictability, we also have a situation where I don't know how this is going to get late. We got a couple Conference USA title contenders. So let's get specific. We remember we had the first half under. Well, Western Kentucky might be able to put in that game plan for an offense that can, at times, get out there and scoot. So we attack Louisiana Tech's injury issues. We use Louisiana Tech as a dead under team, and we put that all in our pocket. We find a key number. We go Louisiana Tech first half team total under 13.5. Now, if you're going to take the first half under, you'll find that around like 24.5. So start to do the math here. When you just do the Louisiana Tech, the team that I am fading offensively the most between these two, I think we've got a little bit of value. So even with a touchdown and 2 field goals, we still end up coming under this number. And given the pace that I'm expecting from both of these teams, I think that we won't have that many possessions. So might need a couple red zone stops, might need a couple field goals. Definitely can't allow a defensive touchdown, but I think this is the best way to play a very, very fun game in Conference USA.
You said it was going to be gross, and you were not lying. We're going with Louisiana Tech first half team total under 13.5. Buckets, you're shaking your head.
It's just so hard to watch someone that you have respected for so long and who you look up to and value an under, Chip. It just hurts. It just hurts. I'll be honest.
That means you have not been listening. So while you might say that you respect me, you clearly have not listened.
Have you done this before?
Yeah. You have any of the picks I've given out over the years. I mean, come on. Like we're talking like the unders at any number. I mean, what gets me more excited than where is this unders in the 40s right here?
Unders in the 40s for your shorties. Unders in the 40s. Unders in the 40s.
Why do you have this on
Unders in the 40s.
If that's not a GIF immediately, Ben, I don't know what we're doing here. Wow. Well, Buckets, do you have any response to that?
Never mind. I respect him again.
That was actually kind of amazing. Also amazing are no sweat tokens from BetMGM. BetMGM players will receive a no sweat token to apply to any NBA bet tonight. If your bet loses, you will receive bonus bets back only at BetMGM. Again, a no sweat token courtesy of BetMGM for your NBA bet. SportsLine picks. Let's transition to that, Bucks. We got to get to your soccer picks. I've got a golf outright to give, a little bit of a preview for the 7 o'clock show tonight, but our SportsLine picks, New Jersey Devils money line, plus money, plus 105, says Jeff Hockman, and the Rockets plus 7, minus 110. That one, courtesy of Tim Doyle. It is NBA season, so perhaps we see Tim Doyle back on the early edge as well. We got to get to a trio. That's 3 buckets of soccer bets from Buckets. We got to get to my golf outright. We got to get to some of your questions and comments in the chat because there's quite a few, and you all have to hit the like button during this message from our partners.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
No, that is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But thanks to CBS Sports, you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+.
We're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Andrew Stanek in the chat, he says, Buckets complaining about an under, but we'll probably drop 3 both teams to score bets for Champions League today. LOL. Well, the joke's on you, Andrew, because that's not true. Buckets, you've got the floor.
Let's start with our favorite both teams to score. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, I've got 3 bets for everyone. Some would call it a triple, 1, 2, 3. Pretty impressive by me. And we're starting with the matchup between Kairat Almaty taking on Paphos. This is the NFL equivalent of the Jets playing the Titans. We have the teams that are expected to finish last and second last out of the 36 teams in Champions League battling it out. Realistically, out of all the matches they play, this is the only chance that either team has of getting a win. They did such a good job to make it to the Champions League, but that is where their accomplishments end. There are zero expectations. No one expects anything out of a Kazakhstani and a Cyprus side, but I still want to find a bet here because out of the two 35th and 36th best team here, I think Paphos is the significantly stronger team. I'm looking at this Kairat Almaty side, who has just been absolutely obliterated in their first couple games. They have been outscored 1-9 2 matches in, and frankly, they've just looked lost. They're doing well domestically, but they're not ready for European matches. And while Paphos isn't either, they just look a bit more put together here. They look like they know maybe not what they're doing entirely, but they're good enough to at least get a point out of this. So I'm taking Paphos draw no bet with a little bit of juice at -130. For our second bet, we're going to Barcelona versus Olympiacos. And whenever you have a big club, your Barcelonas, your Real Madrids, your Bayern Munichs, all of the money is flooded on the big club side. Everyone wants to bet Barcelona team total. Over 3.5. Lamine Yamal assist, Marcus Rashford goals. And I get that, and they're good bets. But when everyone's focused on one team, you're ignoring value on the other team. Olympiacos is not a bad club. And they've got one player specifically who is a really, really talented player. Ayoub El Kabi right now to have a single shot on target, just one shot on target, is -120 in this game. He had 3 shots with 2 on target against Arsenal, which is a better defensive side. And he had 4 shots and 1 shot on target against Paphos. Olympiacos know that they cannot play for a KG 0-0 draw here. They are going to press and try to find a goal. And eventually, when they're down 2-0, 3-0, Ayoub El Kabi is just going to start launching it anywhere he can. And I love him to have a shot on target. And frankly, he might get 2 shots on target at +450 as well. For my third and final play, and frankly, my favorite play of the entire day, FC Copenhagen taking on Borussia Dortmund, going with over 2.5 goals at -125. If you want to take both teams to score and over 2.5 at +110, I am 100% okay with that. Copenhagen is the worst side between these two, but they have scored in every home competitive fixture since December of 2023. Almost 2 straight years of not winning at home, but at least getting a goal. And then you've got Dortmund, who tend to play better in Champions League than Bundesliga and who are coming off a very close to a Klassiker matchup. This is a game that screams 2-1, 3-1, maybe even 3-2 here. Take the over, take both teams to score, take Dortmund team total, but Copenhagen at home are always good for a goal, Sia.
Bucket, since you're now covering the NFL and doing proper NFL analogies with your soccer analysis, can you also tell me what this series score is going to be in the World Series, Dodgers versus the Blue Jays?
It is going to be 4-1 Dodgers.
You know what? That's probably right. And I'm guessing that's the shortest odds from a series price standpoint. Somebody can maybe let us know there. There's somebody asking questions. We got a lot of questions to get to for Chip, for Mikey B, and for Buckets. Again, 4-1 is your series price from Buckets. Zach Kasenki says, see, it's a huge week for golf out in Utah. That's true. Will you touch on it at all? I'm going to touch on it right now, Zach. Thanks for the question. And tonight at 7 o'clock, we're doing our Best Bets show, and we're incorporating during the fall swing your questions during that show. It's actually a pretty big ticket tonight. At 7 o'clock, it's me, Jason Sobel, Rick Gaiman, and Patrick McDonald giving you our best bets for the Bank of Utah Championship. It is going to be...
They're bringing that April energy here in October. Let's go.
We're not saying, hey, it's the fall swing. Let's just kind of relax a little bit. We are putting in all the heavy hitters. Chip Patterson, you're always welcome to stop by that show. You have an open invite. Buckets, you do not have an open invite. However, Buckets, you can bet my out. I'm just giving you a little teaser. I think I like William Mao in the top 30 market, but I'm not going to go there yet. It's +115. I'm looking for a market that's going to include ties, like somewhere at BetMGM, but they don't have the top 30 market out. Neither do the other books. It's just DraftKings, and they don't pay out ties paid in full there. So I'm going to go with William Mao as one of my outrights. I'll have probably 3 more outrights on the show tonight at 7 o'clock on the SportsLine YouTube channel. I love William Mao. Many of my followers know we hit William Mao at the ISCO not too long ago. This is not a stacked field. You got guys like Mav McNeely at the top of this field, Jason Day's in this tournament, Kurt Kitayama. William Mao is the type of guy that can win a tournament like this. I like how he grades out when I look at his off the tee play, but specifically his approach play and his ability to putt. Really like William Mao's upside, and I love his ability to go low on Sunday. You're going to need to do that here. It's a resort course. It's one of the easier courses out there, and William Mao is a guy that can absolutely fill it up with the putter and go 6, 7, 8 under. In fact, when he won at the ISCO, he actually went 9 under, which is pretty crazy. At 50-1, I think these are pretty good odds. Again, I'm considering a finishing position market here, and I'll save that for tonight's show. Maybe a top 30, maybe even a top 20 on William Mao. But I want to tread a little carefully on the finishing position market because of the nature of these birdie fests. You can get a lot of guys that you don't expect to fill up some spots in the top 20, top 30, top 40. I might have Alex Noren on my card tonight. I might have Kurt Kitayama on my card. Mac Meisner is a game I'm considering. So dial in at 7 o'clock because it's me, it's Rick, it's Jason, and it's Patrick giving you all of our winners. All right, let's get to some more questions.
Question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is Rico Hoey going by Richard now?
You know, it's always been Richard, but my understanding is that it's still Rico in terms of like how people refer to him, unless he made a public statement about it being Richard.
I felt like it used to be Rico on the board, like on the odds board when I'd be scanning through it. Saw Richard this morning.
That's interesting.
Should we track a Rico Richard finishing position trend?
Yeah, we could do that.
I think we need to figure out, does he play better as Rico? Does he play better as Richard? Can he switch? You know, like if I'm to get my Sylvester Stallone over the top, you know, he puts the hat around backwards and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know. These are things that we can do during the fall swing to be able to better prepare ourselves for the entire golf season. Here's
what's interesting about Hoey, who's an incredible ball striker. He's probably going to come up for somebody else on the show tonight. He switched his putter. He's a terrific putter, but he switched to a long putter. Maybe at the same time he decided to officially switch his name.
Sounds like he's searching for it.
He's searching for it.
Sounds like a guy who's searching for it.
And for a guy who's such a good ball striker, it does make sense if he's going to make a change with the putter and maybe get used to that long putter. If he can even be a neutral putter, I think he's potentially good to go to contend here. So I don't know what Rico Hoey's odds are. I think they're in the 30 to 25-1 range. I think it's a good call out, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of the other three have him as an outright because he is probably a top 5 ball striker in this field.
I mean, it's all those guys that we end up grabbing for matchups on Thursdays and Fridays, right? Like a little bit deeper down the board, guys that, you know, might be fighting for the cut, but now they're a little bit higher on the board. Those are always going to be the ones that I gravitate towards in the fall season.
Absolutely. And I'll have first round leaders on tonight's show as well as I'm waiting for tee times to come out. Should be out around 1 or 2 o'clock. Aaron Taylor, Tailored Winnings. Mikey B has a question for you, or really it's just a statement, but I'm going to turn it into a question. Rockets team total over 110.5. He says he's in for 2 units. We know Aaron Taylor, of course, from our SportsLine Discord. He's very active and very bright. Any thoughts here, Mikey B?
I don't mind it. Jalen Williams is out for the Thunder. He's obviously one of their better defensive players too, so I don't mind that over.
Any thoughts on the Rockets +7 play from Tim Doyle? I know you stay away from sides. I notice it's even 7.5 in some places. So clearly it does look like OKC money has come in, at least in certain markets here. Any thoughts on that spread?
I would lean towards the Rockets there at the +7, +7.5. Isaiah, I talked about Jalen Williams out. Isaiah Joe is also out. He's an underrated 3-point shooter off the bench for the Thunder. So it's going to be a lot of emotions tonight. First game back after winning the championship. I assume it's a banner or ring night ceremony thing. So, I would lean towards the Rockets.
Darren Mercurio has a question for you for college football, Chip, but I want to get to, if you don't mind, let me get to some soccer first. Snug the Cat. Buckets, what are your thoughts on Derby versus Norwich? Both teams to score at -105.
I love the people that watch this show so much because we've got Champions League footy going on, and then we got people asking about EFL competitions. I like it at -105, but I don't love it. Derby has not won a game in their last 5. Norwich has not won a game in their last 6. Sometimes when you get 2 teams that are desperate for points, you get these weird, scrappy 0-0 fights, and sometimes you get the crazy 3-2, 4-1 kind of game. So I do like it, but if no one scores in the first half, this is ending 0-0. They're just going to be too scared to do anything.
Out of time says Buckets, what am I missing on Manchester City winning? He's got it at, he's using decimal odds here, 1.7 to 1, which he equates to around -130.
This and Inter Milan are both tough ones because Man City on paper should win, and they should win by a couple goals with the form they're in. But Villarreal playing at home is a very tough team to beat. They're unbeaten across all competitions this season, and they've only lost one of their last 10 European competition matchups at home as well over the last 2 seasons. So that's why we're getting playable lines here just because of how good they are at home. I still think City beat them, but it's going to be close, maybe a 2-1 kind of game. So I like it, but it's tricky.
Let's rapid fire some more questions. A couple for you, Chip. Do you like Kennesaw State tonight -3.5?
Absolutely not. And it is not disrespect for Kennesaw State, who I think is the top 3 team in Conference USA. It is out of respect for Pitbull Stadium. You do not walk into Pitbull Stadium on a Tuesday night, dale, and think that you're just going to push around the FIU Panthers. I've been an early buyer of Willie Simmons as just a good coach. He was at FAMU for a while. Then he was on the Duke staff, and then he gets hired away to go be the FIU head coach. I think that he is going to do great there. I mentioned FIU coming off of that stunning upset win their last time out. Year 1 coach, you're at a fork in the road. Darian, you love Kennesaw State. That is what the numbers will tell you. Kennesaw State's the better football team here, but if year 1 coach has that team starting to turn things around, you might have an old number on a new form. So I think that's a dicey proposition, laying a whole 3 and a hook in Pitbull Stadium.
It's Tuesday. You get a random question on Kennesaw State in Conference USA, and you're thinking, I don't know, maybe Chip's going to offer a yes or no because he didn't specifically cap this game. And instead, you got that. That was incredible, like it always is. None of us are surprised. Mikey B, any thoughts on KD tonight, 24 points?
I would take the over there. I keep mentioning Jalen Williams is out for the Thunder. That's a big loss. His length would be key on Durant. I mean, Caruso can defend anybody at any position, but I still like Durant to go over that with Williams out.
Chip Patterson on your play. Jay Long, he doesn't have team total unders, but he has first half under 24.5. Do you have any thoughts with that?
Yeah, that was the other one I was looking at. I just decided to go even more specific to just really dial in the side that I was fading the most, which was Louisiana Tech's offense coming out of the gates and being effective. So Jay Long, I respect that as well.
Giuseppe Maricino, buckets. Is Inter Milan a trap at -125?
Can you have Chip read that name real quick again for me?
I would guess it's Giuseppe Maricino.
That just sounds so good coming from Chip. Sorry, Sia, nothing against you. I really like Inter Milan money line today at -125. USG at home, again, one of those teams that tends to do a lot better in front of their home fans, but I don't think they're good enough to win. I don't know if they're even good enough to score. They've just been too inconsistent in Champions League so far. They looked really good against PSV and then fell apart in their second match against Brugge here. I like Inter Milan. I'd rather actually take the money line than the team total because I see this ending very possibly 1-0 to Inter.
All right, let's go to 2 more questions. The Big E89, Mikey B, how do you feel about Alperen Sengun double-double at -109?
I like that because he could get a double-double with points and rebounds. He could get a double-double with points and assists, or he could get a double-double in rebounds and assists. He can do it anywhere, so I do like that.
Interesting. Ramo says, buckets, thoughts on Arsenal Atleti to end 1-1. That's specific.
It's very specific, and it's not a bad look. I hate betting on Arsenal. I can usually justify a good goal scoring bet for any team. Arsenal loves to play for these slow 1-0, 2-0 kind of games, but I don't hate the 1-1. I like the under more than anything. Under 2.5 is where I would play this. And you know how much I hate unders, but 1-1 or 1-0 is how this one is ending.
All right. And we're going to keep this show under 30 minutes by getting right to the recap screen. So nice to have Mikey B back, to have Chip Patterson here on a Tuesday, and buckets. All right, I'm going to the outright market with the Bank of Utah Championship, 50-1. It's one of 3 or 4 outrights I'm going to have on tonight's show on this SportsLine YouTube channel. Again, tonight, our best bets for the Bank of Utah Championship. One of my outrights will be William Mao at 50-1. Then we go to Conference USA. Chip Patterson. We're going to Louisiana Tech, first half team total under 13.5 at -104. Then we've got some NBA bets. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. We've got some NBA bets, and we've got Mikey B back on the early edge. It's Alperen Sengun over 5.5 assists at -144, and Rui Hachimura over 12.5 points at +102. Then we go to buckets. We've got, Carrot Almaty versus Paphos. Draw no bet -130. Barcelona versus Olympiacos. Ayub El Kabi one shot on target, minus 120. And FC Copenhagen versus Dortmund, over 2.5 goals, minus 125. Buckets, did I get like 80% pronunciation right there?
That's one of your better goes at a recap screen. I was honestly impressed.
That was not a compliment. Let's go to the sports line picks. New Jersey Devils money line plus 105 says Jeff Hockman, and the Houston Rockets from Tim Doyle. The Houston Rockets plus 7 at minus 110. Richard Pierre says Sia struggling. Yeah, I am always struggling when I have to read Buckets picks, but I'm never struggling on this show with all of you. Thanks for joining us. Out of time, Joe Neuenfeld, Jeff Stenberg, Brad Morris, Richard Pierre, Jen is in here, Grant Marshall, and so many of you. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got a packed house tomorrow for the Wednesday show. You're not going to want to miss that. And don't forget, 7 o'clock tonight, we've got, of course, our best bets for the Bank of Utah Championship. Mikey B, how does it feel to be back?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the word to use there. Buckets, thanks for joining us. Chip, Mikey B, and, of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 6s and 7s. Ladies and gentlemen, we rest our case.